Then welcome to this session on the future of data analytics adapting to the shifting technology landscape. Whew, fancy. So this is what we're going to talk about today, and hopefully I don't disappoint, or maybe I do, I don't know. We're going to talk about Fabric, how it's changing the way we're looking at data, and yeah, what can we do about this changing technology things? What can we, and how can we be prepared? Okay, so this is our topic. Before we dig into that, I'm going to introduce myself. So my name is Martha Moingen, or Marte Moingen. I'm a Norwegian. I am a managing data analyst at Soprasteria. That's a consultancy firm. And I'm a data platform MVP, and I'm a chronic volunteer, so I'm organizing all these conferences and networks and so on. If you ever come to Norway, you need to join Fabric February, next February. If you think Fabric was cool. So that's also one of the European on-site conferences that we do. Cool. Also connect with me on the social medias if you want to continue the discussion later. Okay, so that was me. That was the boring part. Now we're going to talk about the exciting part. We're going to talk about what happened. So, because now there is really a paradigm, can I say that, shift in the world in how we're looking at data. And why is that happening right now? Well, some of you, or did any of you hear about Trident? Any hands? Ah, okay, it was a secret. So some of the data platform MVP people heard about this Trident thing. That was this really big thing that was going to come, and it was super secret. We didn't know what it meant. But then, May 23rd, 2023, Fabric was launched. So it turned out this really huge thing that was going to come, that was the code name Trident, that actually was Fabric. So Fabric was released, and then the weird thing is that usually, usually when Microsoft releases new things, I feel like it's our job as MVPs to try and find the wrong things about it. And then we were really excited to test it, and then, it wasn't that cool. But Fabric is just increasing and increasing and increasing the hype. So why is that? That's interesting. Yeah, never-ending hype. So what happened? Why is Fabric so revolutionizing? What's the deal? To answer that, we should start with the as-is before Fabric, which is this as-is, 6 months ago. So what happened? Well, for all of our solutions, all our organizations, we are having a lot of data, right? That's the world, that's the world we live in today. We have a lot of data. And us that work with data, we're trying to push the data in that direction. So we have some sort of source data, the quality, the data is not that good. And then we're pushing it through some sort of zones. Sometimes it's called landing zone, refined zone, consumption zone, or bronze, silver, gold, or whatever you want to call it. The goal is to push data that direction so that we, at the end there, can get some insights. We can make business decisions. This is what we're always trying to do, regardless of technology, really. And the way of doing that is, okay, cool, we need storage. So let's say that we have some data lakes here. We need a storage area to store this data as we're pulling it in that direction to get insights. Then, we also need some sort of transformation solution to transform this data. Model it, handle it, so that we're pulling in some knowledge, some business logic, something that we can make decisions on. So we need some sort of transformation tool. That could be Databricks. But then sometimes we also have some, data engineer or people on our technical team that also want us to pull in some Synapse. So, okay, cool. Then we have Synapse here as a transformation tool as well. Fine. But then to do that, we also sometimes need, or we end up having some on-premises data. So far we've been in the cloud, but we're all human. Sometimes organization also has some on-premise data. That means that we need to add some SQL service over there. That means that we might need some SSIS, more SQL databases, more on-prem data. Okay, cool. It's getting a bit complicated. And I haven't even started talking about the security guys that want to put virtual networks around every little thing inside of our solution to make it super secure. So secure that it's impossible to even get it out. So we're adding on virtual networks, making it secure. And then we have reporting tools. And for some reason, I've seen this, we might have more than one reporting tool. Sometimes people are using also Click and Power BI together, and we are then adding on semantic models because we're importing that into our Power BI environment. Nice. And all this needs to be orchestrated, of course. We need to have some sort of orchestration tool, so I'm going to add on Azure Data Factory there to see that that's what's going to actually pull the data in that direction for us every night. And to have governance over this, where do we end up? Well, we need a lot of different solutions and tools to be able to scan all these other tools on top to actually have control. Meaning that if I want to know what's happening in my entire data ecosystem, I probably need to go into a lot of these tools to get the overview. So this is actually a really modern cloud solution today. A lot of organization has something that looks like this. Quite modern. The thing about the cloud journey was that, cool, we can just move everything into the cloud. It was much easier to deploy new solutions compared to what it was. And then we ended up with a lot of different instances. So what are the challenges that we have with this today? Well, there are a couple. Well, one thing, we have multiple tools and vendors, meaning that, well, there's some additional complexity. You have multiple storage areas because sometimes you have solutions that require on-premise solutions or SQL solutions. You can't have structured data, or you need the unstructured data formats and so on. So you need all these different storage solutions to handle all your different types of data. Also, integration at scale here is really complex, because if I'm adding one more solution to this picture, just one more thing, all of these tools here need to be integrated. You need to connect all the dots to make this actually work together. That can take so much time. It takes months. So, I mean, this is my life, and I want to work with the data, right? I don't want to spend time on integrating all these things. I want to actually start doing the data engineering and the data analytics. Governance and monitoring is complex because how can I understand the whole picture if I need all these different tools to even get a starting point on what my ecosystem looks like? You might need specific technical skills, and you also end up quite often with duplicates and multiple versions because you have all these different storage formats that you need. So this is what it looks like today. Again, for quite modern cloud solutions. So what happened? What was the deal with Fabric? Why are we excited about this? Well, look here. How exciting was that? Wait, again. Did you see that? Okay, what I'm trying to explain to you is that instead of having all these different types of storage formats, Fabric is introducing one lake. That is one layer where you can have all different types of data that's going to work together with all the different experiences on top of the one lake. So you don't need to have all these separate tools to handle real-time data, unstructured data, structured data, and so on. You get all of these integrated by default. So when you're buying Fabric, you get these experiences, so you can handle all these use cases. And then instead of having all these tools that you need to govern your solution, you can use Purview or the integrated features that you have on governance instead. So there is actually this one place to have this total view of how your solution is looking, how's my data quality, how am I doing, all of these things. And where is the data and who has access. And then all of this is wrapped with AI. If you buy the license, that is the right level, then you get Copilot here as well. That can help you with documentation, writing code, governance in general, and also with building reports and so on. So you can also get augmentation and help from that. Cool. So what are we left with? We have some benefits. So now you have this single storage format. That's nice. You also have a one lake. That means one copy of your data, fully integrated by default. So when I click the button, I can start right away to pull in data and transform it instead of using months. Actually, it often takes months to set up the infrastructure as code and deploy all the lakehouses and warehouses and all of this. I like that because I like to work with the data. Yes, you have centralized administration and governance across all the experiences. You have a collaborative experience because Fabric is looking like Power BI, so everyone will be inside the same user interface and have access to all these experiences from that user interface. And then also flexibility on the technical skills, because inside of Fabric you can decide, am I a business person that wants to work with a Power BI feature and ClickUps? Am I a SQL person? I'm more traditional, I want to work with SQL. Or am I a Lakehouse person, I want to write Python code? You can just decide what sort of user interface you want to use inside of Fabric that works with the knowledge that you have. So you have more flexibility. Nice, we have some benefits here. Green, cool. Okay, so let's try and summarize. What was the deal with Fabric? So the new thing here is that it is a software as a service. We're changing it up from what we've had before, and you can do all these things inside this one solution. So you can move the data, store it, data science, real-time analytics, business intelligence, data governance, data security, everything in this one place. Nice. Okay, so now I tried to explain what is Microsoft Fabric, but why is it so revolutionizing? What's the deal? Well, we can try and answer what drives revolutionizing technology to see if we're able to figure this out. That's really difficult to do, but you can group it into these 3 buckets. You can say that, well, obviously, when new technology becomes available, that is driving new technology. One thing that we saw was that the cloud itself became quite mature. That meant that we had a lot of users, a lot of traction towards the cloud, and that's what we wanted to use. Cool. And also, we saw the addition of AI and machine learning. So that's here. Cool. Nice. We also saw a change in funding options and risks in general. So, I mean, way back, you would have to install a server in your basement. I mean, that was a big investment. And now you had to provision something inside of Azure. Cool. But the challenge was it was impossible to know what it was going to cost, because it was, I don't know, 100 and something, or it's a lot of parameters you had to tune to figure out what your solution was actually going to cost. So that's introducing the software as a service. And I mean, we're seeing this in the society in general. We're now going with Netflix. We don't want to buy a DVD and so on. This is what we want. We just want it to be easy. And that's where the software as a service comes in to play. Okay, it's also shifting customer expectations, needs, and preferences. I mean, ChatGPT is here, so that means that I often get the question, but why can't you just ChatGPT it? Why can't it give me my report, just use ChatGPT? And I'm like, well, it's not that easy. The expectations are super high. We want it to be super, super, super easy, super, super, super fast. And that's also part of what Fabric is delivering. You click a button, you have the entire experience, and then you also don't have to be super techy nerdy person to start with delivering value right away. It can also come from the business perspective. Nice. Okay, how could we be ready for this? Was there a way for us to know that this was going to happen? Well, that is not that easy, really. Let me show you why. So I had a lot of fun making this session. So I started reading, like the Gartner reports, the advice that they're giving, like the data community in general. What were we told to do? What should we do? Well, we had these trends. These were the advice that we were given. We were told, best of breed, that is what you should do. And that means that if you need machine learning in your solution, buy that machine learning component, because that's the best thing on that. And if you need structured data solution or analytical data, then you buy that too. That's best for that. And then you buy another one that is best for something else. Meaning, of course, that we're ending up with a lot of different solutions and instances and integrated points. We were also told you should avoid vendor lock-in. Scary. Don't do that. Don't get them, don't let them suck you in. That's scary. So see if you can have multiple cloud vendors. I mean, go with AWS and Azure or Google Cloud, and so on. That was the advice that we were given. That was in all the reports. And also, so this is a bit new, but also the data mesh and data product way of thinking, and that's not gone, but still, you should do that. That was the advice. So see if you can distribute as much as possible, have domains, and then they can own their own data over there and have their own solutions over there, and like let them do what they want with their data because they know their own data. That was the advice. So this is, yeah, that was the advice. So the Gartner conference in London in May last year, they completely changed. So instead of this, they're now telling us this. So you should not think best of breed, you should think end-of-end ecosystem. how can you ensure that your entire system is working together in a good way? So instead of thinking that this one component or this one component is super important, think about the entire solution. Also, don't be afraid of vendor locking. It's more important that the integration is easy. It's more important that you can quickly get to the value adding work that you're doing, which is actually working with the data. And then also think about this as a data ecosystem instead of having the focus on just distributing everything. Is there a way for you to centralize a bit still using the technology? And I think that was really interesting when I read this, because, oh my God, they completely changed. They completely changed the advice. Interesting. What else do they say? Well, okay, I had to prove that they said this. So Gartner says, so by 2024, enterprises that primarily build applications leveraging a data and analytics ecosystem from a single cloud service provider will outperform competitors despite vendor lock-in. I think that was a really bold statement, because they've been telling us not to do that for such a long time, but now it completely changed. And they also say by 2024, 50% of new system deployments in the cloud will be based on a cohesive cloud data ecosystem rather than on manually integrated point solutions. So I mean, I'm not sure if the timing of Microsoft and Fabric was really good, or that maybe they talked, I don't know. But it was really interesting to see that this happened and then Fabric was released. And then it just check. So, okay, that was some information. But is Microsoft Fabric the future of data analytics? I think that Fabric is making my life a lot easier when it comes to the technology and when it comes to the governance and having control over the data. But it's not solving the biggest challenge, which is, or I think is, the people and the processes. How are we making sure that the data makes sense to our organization with our business logic? That's still going to be a challenge. We haven't removed that challenge. And also with Fabric, it's so easy that you can do the same that you're doing with Power BI, or a lot of organizations has this challenge with Power BI. It's so easy that everyone is just creating a lot of reports and a lot of semantic models. And then you end up with no control and a lot of things that you're not sure what to trust. So Fabric is going to make life easier, but you really need to make sure that you're still doing the right things and doing Fabric in the right way. So not solving all our problems just like that. Okay. That was actually it. Thank you so much for coming. If you have more questions or want to connect, do that on social media, and I would love your feedback. So scan the QR code. I have like 2 minutes left for questions, right? Ha, crazy. Okay, we can do questions or reflections, if anyone has any. Or is it way too late and we're ready for the party? Totally get that. Yeah. Oh, there is a question. Microphone is coming your way.
Hi. So with the new layer there is down the bottom that's all integrated, should you be putting clean data in there, or should you be cleaning it inside of there? And then will you get the same problem of having lots of different versions of the truth? It's just happening in a different place, a new place.
I mean, you can still do all the wrong things inside of Fabric and end up duplicating your data. It's definitely possible. You can. But you need to, so that's why I think starting from the right point of view and also thinking about, okay, how do I want to structure this? Where do I want to use shortcuts? Where do I want to use mirroring? Where do I want to have workspaces? Where do I want to use domains? How should I structure this? Really important to have some sort of idea of this before you start. When it comes to, do you need to clean the data before it comes in? No. So your Fabric solution could just be your new data warehouse, or even operational data solution, because you can do real-time analytics. You can do more than you can with the traditional data warehouse. You can pull in super crappy data, and then you can fix it inside of Fabric through your more traditional data modeling solutions and so on.
And can you put governance around that as well? So one team cleans it, for example, and then no other teams can see it.
This is just a good question, because how should you, and that's part of how you're going to structure Fabric. or your work in Fabric. For some people and some organizations, it's going to make sense to set up domains that are actually the true data mesh. So you have your own data engineers and technical teams, and then they will do that. You have one team that do all the like the entire, getting the data in, transforming it, and then reporting on it. But if that doesn't make sense, and I don't think it makes sense for that many really, you need to be really mature to be able to do that in the data mesh journey, then it could make sense to have one domain that is your integration team that's working with that, and then you're integrating and pulling in the sources from multiple areas. And since you have the one lake, you can use that as your central data hub, and then serve that to other solutions as well. You don't have to be all in Fabric. So yeah,
Thank you.
Super interesting discussion.
You.
Yeah. Thank you. We're on time, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for coming to my session.